Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. Another month, another list of 5 graphic novel hidden gems. I am the Uncanny Omar. You're watching Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today as I talk about 5 graphic novel hidden gems for the month of July of 2025. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. Before going any further, a big thank you to our patrons for making videos like this possible. And a big thank you to all of you that have been watching this segment for years, even making suggestions, not just book suggestions, but also like, hey, why don't I add the list to the description of the video in case you want to come back to a hidden gem and check out a particular book. Thank you all so much for that. I really do take all suggestions seriously, if it's doable. I love this segment. This is something that I was doing monthly for the longest time, and then there's just a lot of books out there for me to keep doing this monthly, but I do come back to it, not as much as I want to, but as often as I can possibly do it. So thank you all that have shared our videos and for watching and smashing that like button, please. It goes a long way for us here on the channel. And we do have a Patreon if you want to go and check that out. That link is in the description of the video. Okay. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start with 5 hidden gems for the month of July. And remember, if you don't see something in here that you're like, how has he not done this? Leave it in the comments. Odds are, I probably haven't even read it or heard about it. Sometimes that happens. Ghost Fleet by Donny Cates and Daniel Warren Johnson. This book is published by Image Comics. And as of right now, as of this video, it's an all one and done, meaning there's no more books after this particular one and done volume. Now, this is older teens, and also these are 2 names that a lot of people get hyped up over. Donny Cates, who came back to comics last year, which is a great thing because a lot of us are big fans of his stuff, whether it was his independent stuff like God Country or Redneck or Baby Teeth or Ghost Fleet, and then of course Daniel Warren Johnson, ever since the days of Space Mullet, which I did feature on my Hidden Gems a few years back, and it came back with additional artwork and more stories. So it's really cool to see something a little bit older from both of them. So this story right here actually begins with General Andrew Jackson. That's right, Andrew Jackson is the one that comes up with the idea for the Ghost Fleet. I'm not going to spoil how exactly, but you can read about that. The story takes place immediately when there is just a bunch of car chases after this particular semi-truck, and we are introduced to our 2 main characters, Trace Morales and his best friend, who he calls his brother, Robert Ward, as they are trying to protect their latest shipment inside of this cargo, inside of this trailer. So the Ghost Fleet is an elite series of military-trained cargo drivers, and they have the mission to just deliver their cargo by any means necessary and to never look at what they are carrying because that's not part of the job. Well, in the beginning of the story, just things go immediately south, and there's a crash, people die, and finally Trace is just fed up with everything. So he says, what did all these people die for? What was it worth it? I need to see what's in that cargo. And Ward is trying to stop him. Again, these people are, or these 2 characters are like brothers. So what happens? Trace looks inside of the cargo. We don't know yet what he sees, but whatever he sees shocks him. And what ends up happening next will set up the rest of the book. He ends up getting shot in the head by his best friend Ward and telling him, you know, he shouldn't have looked. And oh my gosh, Trace is like, we can work this out, man. Let's work on this together. So betrayed by his best friend, we find him still alive. He's missing an eye because that's where his friend shot him. Now, was that on purpose or was that on complete accident? So the story really begins when Trace decides he's going to get back at those who abandoned him by stealing a Ghost Fleet shipment. This is a couple of years later after the beginning of the story. So what Trace doesn't know, though, is what is inside this trailer and what happens if he can get his hands on it. And I don't want to spoil what it has to do with, but let's just say it's not drugs or weapons. Well, maybe a weapon. But anyway, it is non-stop, pure action-filled, involving just big semi-trucks. So think, yes, Maximum Overdrive. Think Mad Max. Big Trouble in Little China, those type of stories with that, like, yeah, like, it has a really good, like, John Carpenter type of feel to this story and the overall tone. And it is some early artwork by Daniel Warren Johnson. And like I mentioned, it's all one and done in this volume, published by Image. It was originally published by Dark Horse. It was supposed to be 12 issues. And they stopped at issue 8. That's what I said earlier. Maybe they'll come back and do it, and it'll be a nice hardcover. I heard rumors. Somebody told me that this was picked up for a movie. And the reason I put it on my Hidden Gems is because I was doing a Donny Cates video on TikTok, and I was like, oh, I'll just add this to a Hidden Gems. But really cool if it is, because I would love to see that movie. Para by Stuart Moore and Pablo Villalobos, published by Penny Farthing Press. This book right here is older teen and also all one and done. So no more volumes after this. Stuart Moore may be familiar to you, that name, because he has written a lot of things over at Marvel and DC. Whether it's X-Men, Avengers, or Conan the Barbarian, or Batman, or Justice League. He's written quite a bit, but this is his own story. And what exactly does para mean? What is that word? Or why did I say para as a Latino? Well, no, it really is para, and there is a reason why that is. So this is a very interesting story. It is all about the super collider that was being built in Texas, and it's trying to recreate what a black hole is. So I don't know if y'all remember that or not. This was a big thing back in the 90s. And then I think in 2015, 2016, the project eventually got shut down. But this is kind of like an alternate reality. By the way, published in 2006, where the project was given the green light and they continued working on it. And by they, I mean Dr. William Erie and Dr. Anderson. Both of them are overseeing this project in the mid-80s. Now, Dr. William Erie's daughter, Sarah, she is also really smart when it comes to the field of science, and she wants to be like her dad, and she wants to get involved in this project. Well, one day, Dr. Anderson comes in and tells Sarah the bad news, that there was a huge accident, and a horrific disaster, again, in the mid-80s, left this area under Texas highly radioactive, and supposedly killed everybody, including Sarah's dad, Dr. Erie. Now, 20 years goes by, and Dr. Anderson has a new team that is going to the Super Collider to figure out exactly what happened, and if they can get some of the materials and some of the stuff that the scientists down there were working on. 20 years have gone by, and the radioactivity in the air has kind of dropped. So he takes his own team down there, along with like this badass character, Agent Sanchez. But Sarah wants to go, and they're not alone. There's people like Roger and a bunch of other people that go down there to see what exactly is going on, or what happened to her dad. Well, when they get down there is when the real story begins, because as the team starts to investigate what happened to inside of the Super Collider, they don't find any bodies. They just find abandoned radiation badges. They find shadowy figures, maybe people crawling around. There are like frozen frogs. There could be some kind of creatures that are down there. Like I said, shadowy creatures. But what they don't find are any kind of bodies. And then they start maybe hallucinating. And what is this world about? What is going on inside of this area that got, well, supposedly destroyed 20 years ago? And their word para, the title of the book, is written in blood several places. Is it part of another word? Well, of course it is, right? It's now, you can figure out later on by reading the book what exactly that word is. Is it some kind of warning? Is it telling you how to find the missing people? Are they still alive? Are they still alive? Is her father still alive? So now Sarah and these group of people are stuck down there, and it's kind of survival mode is what they're going for. So the answer might be the key to the origins of the universe too. It goes that deep. Older teen, again, all one and done. This and only available in a trade paperback format.
Hey everyone, Amazing Amanda here. You might know me from Reels Talk here on Near Mint Condition, and today I'm here with my pick for the July 2025 Hidden Gems. And my pick is going to be Zorro, Man of the Dead, written by Sean Murphy, art by Sean Murphy, and then of course colors by Simon Go. It is published by Massive Publishing. And fun fact, this actually started as a Kickstarter and was so successful that it was then published and now is available everywhere in a trade paperback. But just to give you a little bit of a premise on what Zorro, Man of the Dead is all about, it is a modern retelling of the legend of Zorro, and essentially takes place in Mexico, where you have siblings Rosa and Diego who witness their parents being murdered. And when they grow up, you have Rosa kind of, doing her own thing, of course, trying to not be part of the cartel. And then Diego kind of grew up out of the public eye, really, with an older gentleman who, took him in and taught him all about the legend of Zorro. And Diego himself becomes the modern day version of Zorro. And so you see him and Rosa teaming up to help take down the cartel. And through this series, through these issues, you really get to see the siblings and how they interact. It's a great book about sibling relationships and the power of love and the power of fighting through your beliefs. And there's a great cast of characters throughout the entire throughout all the issues as well that are fun and memorable. And it has great action, a great ending that I don't want to spoil, because there are some things that have to do with the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, that take place in this as well. It's why it's called Man of the Dead after all. And of course, it has a very bittersweet ending that offers a lot of hope, which I think is really the story of Zorro in a nutshell. The whole original story of Zorro is just a story about someone fighting for right and doing good deeds, and then the story of hope. So if you are interested in Zorro, the story itself at all in any capacity, I think the back of it even says it's like a cross between Don Quixote and Narcos. So if that, tickles your fancy, then I would definitely recommend checking out Zorro, Man of the Dead. If you're a fan of Sean Murphy's work, you will not be disappointed with this one either. It has all of his, hits in here as far as him as a writer, and the artwork is stunning, as well as the colors. I think Simon does an excellent job with the colors here in Mask of Zorro. It definitely gives you a very distinct vibe with the way the colors are handled in relations to Sean's excellent artwork. So definitely check this out if you're interested, and have a great day.
Raiders by Daniel Friedman and Crom, published by Dark Horse Comics. This book is older teen, mainly due to the violence and language. I have the sweetest, most wonderful viewers. They knew how much I love Bird King, and I had not read this before, so this was sent to me, and it's signed by Crom at a signing overseas. And if you have not read Bird King, oh my gosh, I know I've talked about it a lot on my channel, especially when I do overviews of Dark Horse books. Do yourself a favor, especially if you like the sword and sorcery or fantasy type of stories, which is what this is. So this is a beautiful fantasy story about not just swords and sorcery, but also love and loss and revenge. So you have two main characters here, Markin, who's the older brother, and then Marin. And both of them are raiders, dungeon raiders. So they take whatever they can from dungeons and have to slash away at monsters or goblins or other raiders sometimes, and then go and trade it off for gold or whatever the monetary unit is in this world. Well, at some point, Markin decides that he's done with this life. He's built up and saved up enough money that he just wants to marry Allie and start a family with her. Meanwhile, the younger brother, Maron, is like, well, I kind of want to make a name for myself. I can't believe you are just going to tie down and marry this woman. So he goes off on his own adventure. Now, while he's off on his own adventure, he does end up finding, or I guess befriending, a young lady named Lisette, who takes him out on this biggest dungeon raiding heist, if you will. where there's a bunch of loot. They have to kill a giant creature. Well, things unfortunately go bad because I don't want to spoil what happens. Something happens in the story where the government gets involved, and now both brothers are finding themselves at the wrong end of this big power struggle that's involving like the bishop and all of those people that are in charge of these towns. And maybe there's some secret, like some top secret that is was not to be seen by anybody, and word might be getting out. I absolutely love this book, and if you've not seen Crom's artwork, I hope I do it justice by flipping through there, but it's very shadowy. It's got a lot of like Mignola flair to it, but it's got like anime inspiration in there. I love this type of art, and it really, really fits the tone of this particular story. So you have not read Raiders, and you've read Bird King, and were aware of Bird King. Dark Horse also published this book. It is one and done, and there's nothing after this, although you want there to be, because you're like, I wanted to see what happens with these brothers next, or what happens to Allie, and anyway. And again, available in trade from Dark Horse Comics. Southern Cross by Becky Cloonan and Andy Belanger, published by Image Comics. This one here is older teen, mainly due to the violence and the language. Now, this is 2 volumes, so that's it. This is volume 1 right here, and then there is a volume 2 that wraps up the story. And the name is not supposed to be confused with the anime Super Dimension Cavalry Southern Cross that was later, of course, adapted to our Robotech The Masters. No, this is a standalone amazing story. It's got sci-fi and horror elements, and it's all about the Southern Cross, which is this big tanker. And it is on its way to Titan, a refinery moon that nobody really likes to go to and visit. Nobody really likes to work there, but there are jobs available there. Well, why is Alex Braith on the way there? Why is she heading there? Unfortunately, she is there tracing her sister Amber's last steps to the refinery moon, hoping to collect her remains and find answers about her death, because she died while she was there, and something leads her to believe that perhaps she was murdered. Now, the story unfolds, and we start learning a lot about the passengers that are on board, heading out there to become miners or to start over a new life. And some of them are really sleazy and not trustworthy looking. However, some of them seem like they're genuine good people, like her bunkmate Aaron, or maybe Captain Mori Tetsuya. Is he really looking out for Alex's best interests, or do him and the rest of his crew know what happened to her sister Amber? And then when Aaron, her bunkmate, disappears, Alex finds out that Aaron was also looking into the death of Amber, and she knew a couple more things about the death of Amber too. So she finds out that the room that she is in is not what it appears to be, and sets out to find out what is going on inside of this ship. And then that's when it gets really trippy, and that's all I will say about it. It goes in ways I don't expect it to go. There is a little bit of a MacGuffin in here, and this particular object becomes really important, and how people try to go about getting it is what makes it a really unique and compelling story. And yeah, not to be missed. I don't hear enough people talk about this one that often, and that's why that's why I love doing Hidden Gems, to talk about books I don't hear get talked about often. But if you're interested in any of the books I talked about, or we've talked about in this segment, check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And those were the 5 graphic novels for the month of July of 2025. Big thank you again to my buddy Amazing Amanda for helping me with this segment with that nice surprise of Massive Zorro. But that is it, everybody. Thank you for watching. Smash that like button on the way out. I will be back as soon as I can be with another 5 hidden graphic novel gems. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.